There's actually a really amusing letter. I think by this point Alexander Hamilton is an aide to George Washington. He sends a letter to the Continental Congress basically saying, "Run! They're coming!" So the Continental Army flees to another city in Pennsylvania. So things are looking good for the British in Pennsylvania. However, further north, something else is happening to the wing of the British Army that had been in Canada and now is headed south, led by British General John Burgoyne. In a battle at Saratoga, New York, with Burgoyne's troops suffering from supply problems. So here we have a battle where supplies are a major problem. Burgoyne ends up at the Battle of Saratoga surrendering almost 6,000 men to American forces, led by General Horatio Gates and aided by Benedict Arnold, the man who appears to be everywhere in this phase of the war. For the Americans, this feels like a real turning point. I mean, it's a stunning victory for the Americans, really unexpected, and it's just as stunning a defeat for the British. And there's actually a journal entry by one of Burgoyne's lieutenants describing the events with the British commander, with Burgoyne and with the troops and the surrender. He describes what he sees. And he writes in his journal, "General Burgoyne desired a meeting of all the officers early that morning, at which he entered into a detail of his manner of acting since he had the honor of commanding the army." So basically, Burgoyne calls all of his officers and he's trying to explain to them how they ended up in the situation that they're in. What logic did he follow so that they're where they are now? And the lieutenant continues in his diary that Burgoyne was, quote, "too full to speak. Heaven only could tell his feelings at this time. About 10 o'clock we marched out, according to treaty, marched out to surrender, with drums beating. But the drums seemed to have lost their former inspiriting sounds and seemed as if almost ashamed to be heard on such an occasion. As to my own feelings, I cannot express them. Tears, though unmanly, forced their way, and if alone I could have burst to give myself vent. I never shall forget the appearance of the American troops on our marching past them. A dead silence universally reigned through their numerous columns, and even they seemed struck with our situation and dare scarce lift up their eyes to view British troops in such a situation. I must say their decent behavior during the time, to us so greatly fallen, merited the utmost approbation and praise." So he's actually describing this shocking moment where the British can't believe they're surrendering that number of men to the American forces, and the Americans are so stunned that this is happening that they're actually just silently watching it. No one can quite believe what's happening at Saratoga. It's a huge victory. It has important consequences that I'll talk about more next Tuesday as we head into the last phase of the war, which largely takes place in the South, and see its repercussions and its implications.